All right, guys. So today, the chapter that we're going to talk about, this is from Accidental and Sickness, and this chapter speaks about client profiling. So, what does it mean by client profiling? So, client profiling means you know your client in all possible ways, in all possible things you need to make sure you know your client's situation, why it is important so that you can make the right product recommendation. Sounds good? So client profiling is only important not to know the client, what's happening in the family. No, we're not trying to do this, but why we're asking all this history so that we can recommend the best solution. This is pretty much like that if you are a patient and there is a doctor and the patient goes to doctor, the first thing doctor wants to know is about the symptoms and the ongoing symptoms from the patient. Once doctor gets to know about all the history, all the profile, all the symptoms, then doctor prescribes a medication. Sounds good? That's how it works. Similarly, we being advisor doing the same way. When we sit down with clients, we get the client profiling, we do all the needful that we need to do so that we can do the best recommendation. Now, what are the things those are important in client profiling? We're going to pay attention to that. All right, sounds good. So the number one thing is the personal situation of the client. Now, in personal situation of the client, what does personal says? I mean, personal things. This could be their age, gender, stuff like that. These are the personal details, their marital status, their work, their occupation, their income sources. So these are the personal details about the client, right? So first of all, in profiling, you need to know that you know your client well personally. And personally, why we need to know the age and gender? Because we know that in insurance industry, insurance companies can discriminate based on the age and the gender of the client. So we need to know the gender, age of the client so that we can let the client know the right advice and also give the company the right profiling as well. And also we know that in terms of life insurances, uh, female have higher age expectancy, that's why lower premiums. But in disability, female tends to get injured or disabled way easily, way more easily, way more frequently than males. So in terms of disability, premiums for females are higher, right? So that does play a role, and in that regard we need to know the personal detailing. Yes, you need to know about whether somebody's married or somebody's single. Because if somebody's married, then they have a spouse. That spouse may be working. A working spouse may bring in an income. So when working spouse is bringing in an income, your financial situation changes, right? So you need to take that into consideration. If somebody is single, then they're by themselves. Of course, there's only one source of income. In that regard, you need to give different product recommendation rather than what you give to a married person. So that's important. Let's go on to the next part, which is marital status. I spoke about it. What you need to know about in marital status, guys. Somebody who is married, right? Let's say spouse A, spouse B. Spouse A is making $3,000. Spouse B is making $3,000. How much is total income coming into the home? $6,000. Saad, can you be with me? So let's say spouse A earns $3,000, spouse B earns $3,000. What is the monthly income coming to the house?
6,000.
$6,000, right? And let's say the overall monthly expense of this household is $5,000, right? $5,000 is the expense, 6,000 is the income coming. Now, all of a sudden, if one spouse gets disabled, how much income is lost? 3,000 income is gone, but 3,000 still remains there. So this person needs to have a $2,000 worth of disability coverage, because 3,000 the other spouse is making and 2,000 is the missing gap because expenses are 5,000. So when they're married couple, you need to know the income and status, how they're working, so that you can advise them the right amount of coverage. Now, on the other hand, if there's only single person working, he is making $3,000 income, right? And his expenses also, let's say $2,500, right? In this regard, if he gets injured, he needs to cover how much? At least $2,500, because nobody else is working, nobody else is in the family that is bringing income home. So that's why a single person may need to consider many more factors, like if I get disabled, who would provide care, right? Maybe I have to hire somebody, pay them to provide me care. Maybe I have to go to long term. So alone people, single people have their own problems. You need to consider their situation so that you can recommend them the best service and product. Married people have their own kind of problem. They can have their kids, they can have their spouses, but they have own things. So you need to know the complete structure of the family of the person before you can make a good recommendation. Sounds good? Saad, any questions so far? Jaya, any question about why marital status, why you need to know about these things is important so that you can do the best recommendation about the services and products as a financial advisor. Dependents, who can be dependent? Kids can be dependent. Anybody under the age of 18 in this country can be dependent. Your parents can be dependent. If you're taking care of some of, maybe your siblings can be dependent if they are younger than you. So you can have many dependents, and maybe that needs into consideration. Let's say if somebody is providing me a solution after financial education, they need to know that how many people are dependent on me, because in case my income stops, these dependents are also on stake now. So then also we need to know, if my income is continuously going on every month, if my income is coming, how much I'm spending on these dependents, because that will be calculated. If my income disappear, then who would spend this money on these dependents? Then from disability or critical illness or life insurance, we need to design that kind of plans. So even though my income stops, but income from my dependents do not stop. Sounds good? That is why it is very, very important to know the dependents. Occupation is important because the risky the occupation, the higher the chances of disability, right? The riskier the occupation, you need to think about the waiting period, premiums, and policy benefits all together based on the occupation. Let me ask you, Asad, a question. If you are working as a doctor, right? If you're working as a doctor, chances of your disability is higher or lower?
Higher.
If you're working as a doctor, chances of becoming disabled is higher.
असद भाई दोबारा पूछना क्वेश्चन.
If you are a doctor, chances of you becoming disabled is higher or lower?
No, lower.
Yes. If you are working in a warehouse, chances of you becoming disabled is higher or lower?
Higher.
So risky occupation have a higher chances. That's why their premiums are higher as well. Now, Saad, second question. If you are to design somebody, if you were to design a disability plan for someone and you're giving advice on waiting period, would you keep a waiting period longer for somebody who has high risk of disability or shorter?
Shorter.
There you go. You shorter. You can keep a waiting period longer for a doctor because his chances of becoming disabled is much less likely. But you should, for the truck drivers, for the Uber drivers, for anybody who's driving or working in the construction or warehouses or floor job or risky work, always keep, a shorter benefit period, which is important, right? But we will cover more things in the end of the chapter, what also needs to be included to design a perfect plan. But I want to tell you, occupation plays a role, and why it plays a role, just I explain it to you. Work history is also important to ask from the client. Let's say a client is working with nuclear plant for a long time. Now he's dealing with all those research molecules, nuclear things. So chances are that he might he might is more prone to get illness, some kind of genetical disorders, because he remains there in those nuclear things. So work history, future work, what are they currently doing? Are they dealing with the chemicals? Are they working in a chemical factory? Are they consuming a lot of smoke? Are they using those lithium batteries? They're getting in touch with all those hazardous material. If somebody is working or has a past history of work in that kind of industry, working right now or maybe in future, of course you need to know this thing about your client so that you can advise them the right thing. You don't want their claims to get denied. You want to advise them and put them to the right product, right? So that's why it's important. Then what else is important for a personal point of view from a client? Health, very important. You need to ask client, disclose everything, their family history, illnesses in their family, their current history. Are they taking any medication regularly every single day? Are they going through some kind of testing? Why these things are important, so that you can Advise all this to the insurance company and protect your client so that claims are always entertained. There is no discrepancy, no material. You need to ask these things. For example, if somebody has a diabetes and high blood pressure, and you are providing them a critical illness insurance, and if they are diabetic, high blood pressure, then their chances of getting heart attack and stroke is way more than somebody who's not diabetic. So of course, the company needs to know that, okay, this person has these underlying conditions. So these health is very, very important, both their family history and their personal history. So when you're profiling the client, you need to make sure you ask all the health questionnaire to the best of your abilities, right? Best of your abilities. The next thing is I want to talk about retirement goals. Look, retirement goals is very important in client profiling. Why? You need to know about the client. Let's say, ask your client, Mr. So-and-so, after 65, what are you going to be your retirement plans? Some people say, hey, we're going to travel a lot. Now, if somebody is traveling a lot, what you need to protect them with? A travel insurance is very, very important for them if they have a plan to travel after retirement. Some people say, hey, we want to do adventurous stuff, maybe scuba diving, maybe those things. You need to consider all those things. What are their retirement goals? Some people will say, we want to live abroad in our back home country. Now they might get injured, their health card might not cover them fully over there, so they need to have extra protection. So people retirement goal is also very, very important to know. Some people might say, hey, after retirement we want to do maybe want to throw a lot of parties, we want to spend a lot of money. That means they need a lot of income to support their grandkids in the retirement. And if they were to get disabled, you need to protect them with some kind of disability so that their income does not stop. Likewise, in retirement, long-term care is a big problem. If they get injured and they have to go to the nursing home, or they have to get some care at home, they needs to pay money for that. So you need to ask people about proper family history, what their retirement plans are, what are the activities they're going to do after retirement, so that you can give them the best recommendation. All right. I hope everything is making sense to you. We never spoke about a client profiling like this, but this is detail why you need to know everything about your client so that you can recommend the right thing. Next thing is after the personal detail, now comes the client's income. That's the second important part. If you talk about disability, if you talk about critical illness plans like living benefit of accident and sickness insurances like long-term care, critical illness, disability, you need to know the client's income, because all these insurances support and replace, some of them replace income, some of them save assets and savings. Sounds good? We've been reading this in this chapter. So client income is very important. What kind of income? There are two kind of income. One is earned income. Second is unearned income. Example of earned income can be salary, can be your self-employed work, can be any other work where you're working, going by yourself, spending time, putting hours, your own effort, and you're making money. That is known as what? Earned income. Then there can be unearned income. Unearned income can be a passive income. Unearned income, passive income can be three type of income. One that is coming from your investment. Let's say you have a wealth account. Let's say you have a TFSA and your money is growing over there, right? The money which is growing is also a sort of passive income adding into your accounts that you can withdraw tomorrow and use it. Similarly, if you're contributing into pensions with government, that pension is also growing. So the growth amount is also counted as a passive income. Then you can also receive passive income from your family. Let's say your spouse is working. Let's say your kids are working, they are making money, your brothers are working in your family, they're making money, and they're also contributing into your household expenses every month. For you, it's also a passive income because you're not working for that, your family is bringing that money home. And the third type of passive income, which is the most important passive income, is income coming for royalties. The chapter will talk about this. Royalties, you know where the royalties come from. When you build something and you give your brand to somebody and you receive royalty payments. So royalties are passive income as well. So these are all known as unearned income. If you have an apartment or a house at rent, you're earning the rental income. That is also uh, unearned income, right? So you need to take into consideration all earned and unearned income, right? Why it is very important for disability, guys? You all know that, let's say I am making $2,000 from my job, $1,000 from rent, $2,000 from my royalties and $1,000 from my spouse. This is total $6,000, right? Let's say my family expenses monthly expenses $3,000, right? So let's say if you are my advisor and you need to advise me a disability plan, how would you go about it? My expenses are how much? 3,000. My income is coming, how much is 6,000? So my passive income will still be continuing. Even if I'm disabled, that will be coming. My income from team will be coming. Only I want to just the $1,000 that my spouse is bringing, I just want to have $1,000 disability plan, right? Because that might give us that saving that we want to do, right? From that thousand. Otherwise, my expenses are $3,000, which are pretty much covered by my unearned income. So I might not need that high of a disability. That means I'm putting very low premium. So I can have a customized plan. That is why you need to know earned income and unearned income. If somebody is only on earned income and he gets disabled, now what happens? Everything is gone because this person does not have any unearned income, no passive income, nothing. Now that person is more liable. You need to protect that person more, and unfortunately that person has to put more premium to have the service because he wants $3,000 coverage. While on the other hand, somebody who is maybe getting a lot of royalties from team, he might not even need to have such big of a plan. So these are all the things we need to take care into client profiling. Then salary, commission, and bonuses as an income, very important concept. If somebody is an employee, they have fixed salary. Then you can get an idea about their fixed salary. Okay, this is 100,000 is their salary. They can get 60% of the coverage in disability. That means $60,000. Divide by 12. That means 5,000 a month benefit they can get. Simple. But if somebody earns a lot of income through commissions and bonuses, commissions and bonuses are not fixed, they vary. So then it becomes difficult to manage that how much income is coming if somebody is making commissions and bonuses. Then how would you do that? You would take the whole year income and divide that by 12 to get an average income, and that's how you try to plan it out. With salary, you have a fixed income. You can take last month's pay stubs, and that could be the income. But with somebody who's working commissions and bonuses, take last 12 months divided by 12, and the average income you get is the income that you need to use regarding any recommendation. Sounds good? Same goes for business income. If somebody is doing a business and business have up and down, 1 month there could be high income in business, next 2 months there could be no income in business, and then fourth month there could be 4 times income in the business. So you need to also take an average of business, what the business made in last whole year. That is going to be the income. Only for job you can count the last month. Everything else count at least 12 months and take the average. Everybody is good with me, so far. Everything is clear. Profiling is good. All right. So next topic is, I spoke about this, that you need to take care of income earned by spouse, investment income. That's also important. But let's talk about income earned by spouse a little bit more. What do you mean by income earned by spouse? If your spouse is working, then you need to also protect your spouse's income, right? Because if your spouse somehow gets disabled or income stops, that could hurt the family. So if your spouse is working, you need to make sure, take into consideration the income your spouse is bringing home, and take that income, her income, into the need analysis to calculate the total need. Similarly, investment income. You know how sometimes people have registered accounts like RESPs, like RRSPs, like RDSPs. Now, in these accounts, people are putting money every year, every month, sometime. So these are more of a sort of what you call ongoing plans. You don't tend to stop them, because if you tend to stop RESP, what is going to happen? Your kid might not have enough money by the time they reach age 18. If you stop contributing into your RRSP, maybe your retirement look very gloomy. You might have no savings left in your retirement. Maybe if you're paying money into life insurance and you stop in your life insurance, maybe now you're at a risk of bankruptcy. Maybe something happened to you. There's a lot of liability and you don't have any life insurance anymore, right? So these, when somebody is paying payments or making plans payments like RRSP, you also need to consider what they are putting into their overall income. Sounds good, Jaya? Because you need to protect that income as well. Let's say now if my income is $5,000, right? And my expenses are $3,000. So how, and I'm the only earner. How much disability income I need to, you as an advisor will recommend me? At least $3,000. That's my expenses. But let's say I put $1,000 into my RRSP together, 1,000 together into my RRSP, into my life insurances, into my critical illness plan, into my, let's say, kid saving plan. So in total, I put how much? $1,000. So you would also consider that $1,000 along with 3,000 as well. Because if I stop working, if my income stops, do you think I should stop these plans as well? No, because if I stop these plans, then the eventual goals and outcome of these plans will be disturbed. Like if I'm paying into my kids' RESP, the education will be disturbed. If I'm saving for my retirement, I have to work in the retirement age. If I'm saving into my life insurance, if I die, my family's on the road. If I was paying into critical illness and I stop that, now I'm not covered. If I get sick, now I don't know how to run my house. So you also consider the income that people are putting into different plans, also include that into their income when you give them a proper insurance, proper coverage. Sound good? Sound good? Awesome. Now, second, another thing is support payment. You know who you can give support payment? Let's say divorced couple, let's say separated people. Now they have kids, they have obligations to make payments for the kids, for spouses. If you have divorced somebody, you keep paying them spousal support, kid support, right? All this. Now, if somebody has spousal support every month as a liability and that person become disabled, who would pay to the spouses? So you also need to consider that income, what they are paying monthly, into analysis as well while you do client profiling, so that you can give the right recommendation. I was surprised when I was reading into this chapter how extensive this chapter is, how deeply you need to know your client and their situation before you can recommend them any good service and any nice idea. And I think that's what a dream financial advisor's role would be. I would always tell people, become an advisor of your dream. All of my videos says this message as well: become an advisor of your dream. That means do the best you can do, so that your client will say, okay, you know what, we met Asad and he's that kind of a person. He included every single thing that needed to be shared and asked. That's how you need to plan people. Okay. So next thing is pension income. Of course, if somebody is receiving pension income and they are saving into that pension plan, pension income is bound to get when you get retired. But you're contributing while you're working into pension plan. But if you get disabled and you don't have an income, who would put money into pension plan? Probably nobody. And then retirement, you don't have anything. So pension income, also consider that. Royalties, also consider that. It's mentioned here, right? If you're receiving royalties. Next thing is disability income. They are saying that also consider disability income. You might be asking for a disability insurance. Why should we be considering disability income? Right? That might be a question in your mind. So, guys, if somebody is working as an employee, they have some disability plan coverage with them. For example, if somebody is working as an employee, they might have their own individual disability plan from before. Maybe they have own personal disability, individual disability. Maybe they have group disability from their employer. Maybe they are protected for 15 weeks with EI for disability payments. They also receive some benefit from their CPP towards their disability, temporary disability, although it's very hard to get qualified. Then there's Ontario Works government disability program as well, that also pays people when they get totally disabled. And then there's also workers WSIB provincial plan. So there are quite a lot of disability plan. Those are in place to help Canadians. Yes, definition of their disability is very hard to get qualified for that. But there are people who get qualified with those things. So let's say you're sitting down with a client, you need to ask them, are they entitled for any of these disability plan? Why it is important? Let's say somebody says, yes, I am entitled to receive 15 weeks from EI, or maybe I'm entitled to receive this much from CPP. Now you got to know that if this person gets disabled, this much money is already covered. So you only cover the remaining part. You don't provide the duplication. You only cover the remaining part. That's way the person will be paying cheaper premium. And clubbing all the benefits together. That is why you need to know how many other disability plan the person is entitled to, and in total how much income will flow from there. This is important for two things. First of all, determining how much disability insurance they need, and secondly, how much, after how many waiting time they need, because EI is paying for how many months? 15 weeks. So you might start your disability from 16th week. So it's important to determine waiting period and determine the benefit amount, right? So any question about why you need to know disability plan or income? Sounds good? It's clear? All right. Next is other sources of income. In other sources of income, they're talking about emergency funds. Guys, who can tell me how much emergency fund should be in the bank account? We've covered that in ethics and many things. How many months of emergency funds? Saad?
I don't
Okay, so it's basically every family should have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses in their bank account as an emergency fund. Never to forget this thing. That's an emergency fund. So make sure if you're sitting with client, you ask them the question, hey, do you have this emergency fund in place for you? If they don't have emergency fund, then what you need to do, you need to start the waiting period from 0 day, because they cannot survive. They don't have emergency fund with them. Then you cannot give them 90 days waiting period, that okay, first 90 days they will use their savings, and then if they're still disabled, they will get the benefit. Why? Because they get maybe a cheaper plan. No, if they don't have emergency funds, unfortunately you have to set them up with the minimum waiting days. Although that means plan is expensive, but what can you do? They don't have emergency funds with them. You need to protect them from day one. Sounds good? Clients expense I spoke about. This is okay. One more concept here as well. Clients expenses. Let's say, guys, I give you an example. My income is $100,000 salary. How much disability insurance I will be eligible for? Who can tell me how much of 100,000 as a general rule?
60%.
Very good, guys. 60%, right? So 60% I'm eligible. That means I will get 6,000, right? That means monthly payment benefit of how much minimum? 5,000 a month. If you divide 60 by 12, 5,000 a month. But here's the story. I tell you, Jaya, as my advisor, that my expenses are only 3,000. Would you still give me 5,000 a month benefit? Or you just tell me, hey, just only go with 3,000. Although you are eligible for 5, but since your monthly expenses are only 3,000, why would you pay more premium for 5,000? Pay less, pay as per your need. Sounds good? So this is known as client's expenses. Although I was making 100,000, although I was eligible for 60,000, that means 5,000 a month. That is the eligibility maximum. But my expenses are only 3,000. Why would I need 5,000 a month? 5,000 means I need to pay more premium. 3,000 coverage means I need to pay less premium every month. So always advise the client what is needful, what is needed, what is their expenses. Always cover disability to match or cover the expenses and the investments if there are any investments going on. I hope you're getting this concept that it's not always that you give them 60%. No, you ask them if their monthly expense is less than 60%, then insure them for that smaller amount. Okay. Next is living expenses, or I would say, yes, there are some living expenses. Living expenses means, I would again say, like your every month expenses, but it could include your mortgage statement and your rental things. So that's part of, now they're breaking it down a little bit. Expenses, what comes into expenses. I'm not going deeper down into that. When we know expenses, when we do budgeting, we know that what includes in all those things. I'll give you an idea. Let's say, what does a budget mean? What does an income mean? Income mean earned income, unearned income, interest income, whatever kind of income is coming to the home, that is income. And then expenses include maybe rent, mortgage, utilities, groceries, food, clothing, shopping, entertainment, miscellaneous, income taxes. These are all expenses. So you need to see income minus expenses. Whatever the expenses are, protect them for at least for their expenses. That's the bare minimum. If they want to have more than expenses, like in this expenses, we have not included any plan saving like RRSP, life insurance plan, but kids plan. If they're doing that, then add that as well and protect them for that income. Sounds good? Now, I'm going to ask you another question. For example, repetition, same story. I was making $100,000, Saad. I was eligible for 60,000, and that means 5,000 a month. My monthly expenses in income tax, mortgage, rent, grocery, clothing, shopping, entertainment is 3,000. And I'm also saving one more $1,000 into my own insurance, my wife insurance, my critical illness, my kids' educational plan, and my registered RRSP. Now, how much amount you will insure me for? You will protect me for a month?
Only for your expensive. I only insure the amount of your expenses.
So if that means you will only recommend me for a $3,000 expenses, you will not recommend me to have another 4,000 coverage, because if I don't have 4,000, then I have to stop my life insurance plan. I have to stop my critical illness plan. I have to stop my kids plan. I have to stop my RRSP. You won't protect me for that extra 1,000.
Oh.
You should, right? So that's what the proper role is. You need to ask your client, hey, what kind of investment or plan you're contributing in? You need to know that as well, because that is very, very important to know. So I will tell you my expenses were 3,000, but that's also my expense because I'm saving that for future. So I need to have that $1,000 with me as well if I get disabled. Otherwise, I have to stop these plans. Sounds good? So that in that regard, I will recommend a $4,000 coverage. Still not 5,000, but not 3,000 anymore. I will recommend $4,000 coverage on that. Welcome, Mehreen. We're just going through with this chapter number 6 and client profile. It's a great experience so far and great sharing. We're recording this session and probably you'll get the recording. So just try to be in here. If you do find some questions, I would say in this one, ask questions as well if you know, but I think Saad and Jaya were making it very interactive session, so you'll get an idea about it.
Okay,
right.
thank you. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Next in the piece is savings and investments. Okay, so savings and investment, guys, is exactly the same thing that I just spoke about. If I'm putting some money every month into savings and investment and I get disabled, who will put money into that saving and investment? Nobody. I need to protect that extra money that I put into savings and investment through my disability insurance so that I can continue with those plans. Anybody knows about RDSP, Registered Disability Savings Plan? Just like RESP, Registered Education Saving Plan, or RSP, Registered Retirement Saving Plans, there is also RDSPs, Registered Disability Savings Plan. By the way, these are the people who government of Canada. Yes, Marine, you want to say something?
Yeah, RDSP basically गवर्नमेंट का प्रोग्राम है, स्पेशली स्टार्ट ये कराते हैं जो बच्चे डिसेबिलिटीज के साथ हैं, जैसे ऑटिज्म के हैं या ADHD के हैं या डाउन सिंड्रोम के हैं या किसी भी किस्म की ऐसी डिसेबिलिटी, उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट एक प्लान करती है और वो पेरेंट्स को हेल्प आउट करती है कि आप जितना डालोगे तो उसका कुछ परसेंटेज वो भी डालेंगे.
Yeah.
तो वंस दे टर्न इनटू 21 इयर्स दे गेट समथिंग. आप उससे बेसिकली उनकी यूनिवर्सिटी की पेमेंट भी साथ में कर सकते हो. अगर आपने उनका घर लेना है तो आप उसकी भी पेमेंट कर सकते हो, डाउन पेमेंट्स के लिए भी. तो ये गवर्नमेंट का एक प्लान है उन लोगों के लिए. मुझे एडल्ट्स के लिए नहीं पता, हो सकता है कि एडल्ट्स के लिए भी हो, बट मुझे जो नॉलेज है वो ये है कि जो बच्चों के साथ डिसेबिलिटीज होती हैं, जो डायग्नोज हो चुकी होती हैं अर्ली एज में, उनके लिए प्लान होता है.
Thank you so much, Mehreen. First thing first, this RDSP plan is for everybody. Anybody who is even adult and get totally disabled. Now, government, their definition of disability is hard. Whenever government is giving you some benefit, they want to make sure that you're completely disabled, not able to do any work. Their definition of disability is hard, but this is available for all adults as well. But Mehreen is right. Majority of the people taking advantage are young kids who are born with disabilities or get some kind of disabilities as they go on, autism, all those things that Mehreen mentioned. Those are severe form of disabilities or less severe form of disabilities. Government approve these people or these disabled kids and adults with this RDSP plan. Now, how does this RDSP plan works? In RDSP plan, when government classifies somebody as a disabled, government gives DTC, disability tax credit. Government pays that amount. And side by side, look, it is a very similar concept like how government pays child care benefit to kids. And side by side, government wants that from this child care benefits, every parent should contribute into RESP. That's what government wants, that we pay you this benefit so that you can use some of the money for their monthly expenses. Rest of the money, invest them into RESP and some other plans. Similarly, when government paid disability tax credit to disabled person, they also want them to add some money into their RDSPs, because sometimes these disabilities for these kids go in a longer run. They might not able to work like a normal adult at their job. They might not have same kind of income. They might not raise enough money to become homeowner. So government knows that. That is why side by side they give heavy incentive. You know what is the incentive is? In 2018, if the parents of a disabled kid, if they open up an RDSP, in whole lifetime they can deposit $200,000 into that RDSP. How much lifetime span? $200,000. The parents of that disabled or anybody who's supporting legal guardian can deposit that, and government is going to match that. If parents are putting 200,000, how much government is going to put? 200,000 total in the total length of the period. That is what their incentive. They want people to put money from that tax credit, DTC, disability tax credit. Otherwise, parents will use that money like parents are using money for childcare benefit into groceries, into everywhere. Similarly, parents will use that disability money into their own expenses as well. That is why government does not want these things. They want that the money that we pay for the kids and for disabled people, they must contribute into them. Still, parents don't contribute, but yes, that's why they give incentive, like on top government grants, on top dividends, on top matching, so that child or that disabled person can have future, secure future. What if the parents die? Who's going to take care of that disabled kid after them? That's what government wants. So this is RDSP. Important concept to know that DTC is something that people receive, and from DTC, this is like just like childcare benefit. You can put some money into RDSP. It's your choice. Like RESP is also a choice. It's also a choice. But if you use that, government matches whatever parents put into that. Okay. So that is about RDSP. Any question if anybody has about RDSP, you can ask me that as well. Okay. That is also very, very important to know when you are doing client profiling, right? Why that is very important to know? Because sometimes when you have a debt, you pay two kind of payments towards that debt. One is principal, one is interest payment towards that debt. Sometimes principal become massive, $100,000 debt, $200,000 debt. Now you're only able to pay interest payment. You're not even paying the principal back. So if that interest is not going every month, that will pile up more. And now the person who was paying interest every month becomes disabled. How would that person pay now interest payment? That is still there. So once you're doing client profiling, you make sure you ask client whether you have any debt, whether you're making any payments towards that debt. We need to include all that into your income when we protect your income with disability insurance in case something happens to you. That's also very important to know. You consider and calculate the debt as their income as well. Sounds good? Same goes for personal line of debt. Can be now they're giving the types of debt. What can be the debt? That could be a credit card debt, right? That you can might be making payments towards a credit card payment. That could be you've taken line of credit from a bank and you're making payment towards your line of credit. That could be home equity line of credit. That means you have a house and from that house you got some equity borrowing and now you're paying it back. That can also be mortgage payment. That's also a loan and debt. That can also be your car payments. You need to include all these things into your planning before somebody you can tell somebody, okay, this much amount you need to protect yourself for. This is all included. Otherwise, just don't. Otherwise, advisor will only ask people Hey, how much you spend on grocery? How much is your rent? How much is this? Okay, you need this much. But they exclude a lot of things that they need to ask as an advisor so that you can do a proper recommendations, right? This is our job. This chapter is client profiling is only focusing on that, of how would you profile your client. Okay. So after this, the last thing that you need to do is financial situation of the client. Financial situation of the client, you always have to disclose. This is a Government of Canada requirement. They want you to now do the paperwork and keep that paperwork with you for 5 years, that they call financial need analysis. One of the very, very important question of financial need analysis they ask is total net worth of the client. Anybody knows the formula of calculating net worth? Simple. It's asset minus liabilities is equal to net worth. Let's say I have $100,000 asset and I have $40,000 debt or liabilities. What is my net worth? 60,000. Saad, are you with me? So let's say, Saad, I have 100,000 worth of assets and I have 70,000 worth of liabilities. What is my net worth?
70,000 liability,
And 100,000 assets.
30,000.
Very good. 30,000 is my net worth. So you need to disclose this to the company, that what is the net worth of the client. Now let's discuss what is assets. Who can tell me what can be a part of assets?
It's like if you are owning a home,
Can you
car.
name few?
Yeah, home, car, any amount in the bank that goes into your, if you have any gold jewelry or anything in a coin, that's also in the like the assets here. Or if you have any bonds, okay, or even sometimes I guess I feel like insurance, life insurance, that's all.
You're super awesome. Great. I think you've taken all the names. Sometimes people forget this, and I'm happy that you told. Anything that you have in your registered accounts, RESP, RRSP, that is all your asset. Anything you are putting in your life insurances, only the life insurances that have cash value, not the traditional life insurance, not the term insurance. Term insurance don't have cash value, that is not your asset. But your whole life and universal life that has cash value in the policy is your asset. Your cars have a value, those are your asset. Your house, normally principal house, the first house in Canada, that is not normally counted in asset, because technically you cannot sell that. If you sell that, you will go onto the road. You will right away need to buy another one. So basically your main principal residence is not counted as your asset because you cannot sell it. Otherwise your second home, third home, investment property can be counted as your asset. So this is a little bit technical, but your life insurance, your cash in hand, your jewelry, your bonds, your other investments, whatever, maybe the furniture in your home that you can sell. I don't know, anything that you can think of that can be sold for money is your asset, right? And liabilities, what can be the liabilities? Mortgage, home mortgage, rent is a liability, credit card payment is a liability, line of credit is a liability, car loans are liability, RRSP, if somebody has taken loans for investments, that is a liability. So count all that in the liability. So when you ask people, hey, what is your net worth? Do you think they're financial advisor? Those clients, they are not. They'll probably say, hey, what does it net worth means? Then they'll say, oh, maybe I have 5,000 cash. And if you take that answer and take it with you, now what kind of advisor are you? You need to help them out. You need to help them out. Hey, you know what? I'm asking about your home, your cottage, if you have any, your vehicles, anything in your RRSP, RESP, TFSA, anything in your life insurances, if that has value. Give me everything. That is your asset. And then ask them what is the liability, and then give them clues. Do you have any credit card debt? Do you have any line of credit debt? How much do you pay for your mortgage? How much is your monthly rental? How much are you paying for car loans? Give them clues so that you can get closer to their real scenario. Okay, and then take out the net worth. Sounds good, guys? This is an important question. Whenever you do TFSA, any investment, anything, life insurance, you have to provide the companies with net worth. And sometimes advisor don't even know what net worth is. So this is important. I think Marine, you and I were going over when we're planning for your situation and budgeting. I think we went over everything regarding and I remember I spoke to Marine. I gave her the idea, whatever is in there. Okay, how much are you putting in there? And we calculated the total assets and liabilities. And that's how I suppose every advisor should do with the clients.
Yeah,
Get to the closer picture.
I feel like if no both are genuine with each other, like the advisor and the client too, then we can get the solid plan. If something is hiding, even from advisor, even from the client, then it's not worth it, or it's not working for them.
And I really love about our model at World Financial Group. Why? Because once you who we provide education first to the new recruit, somebody who's taking license, we have a great bond with the within the team. So that means we're very open to each other. So we can know all the details. We can do the best planning for each other rather than for anybody outside. And I love about this thing that in World Financial Group, I can sit down with Saad. Saad can tell me anything about him and I can ask anything to Saad. So that means I'm able to help Saad the best possible way. So I love World Financial Group and their model as well because our recruits are also our friends. And when you sit down with them and provide financial education, you can ask anything to them and you can provide the best plan to them. And I think that's what happens. And I like this part as well. So next is insurance situation to the client. Another important thing that you also need to consider while you're giving somebody advice, how to protect income, how much insurance to purchase, what to do. Consider their existing policies. Sometimes this is also a major problem. Advisors fail to ask. They fail to ask how much. Let's say somebody was telling, hey, I work for an employer TJX, and TJX give me a life insurance. They give me some disability insurance, and I say, oh, okay, you have that, but you still need to get the personal one. Yes, you still need to get the personal one, but you don't need to get the overlap. I need to ask them on a piece of paper, that is great, brother, sister, Mr. Client, that is good. You have some top up coverage from your employer, but I'm sure that you know that once you leave this job, that coverage will be gone. And I have not seen anybody retiring in the same company, very few people who work 30 years with the same company. So maybe you go to the next company and they might not offer you plan, and your age went up, maybe you get sick and you become uninsurable. That's why it's the good time you have your own individual plan and enjoy the group plans as a icing on the cake, because those are not, you don't own them, your employer own them. Enjoy the benefit. But after that, my second thing is to ask them how much life insurance they have and make a note. How much disability monthly payment they will get in case from employer they get disabled, make a note. And only cover the gap as an individual right now. Let's say I did their need analysis and they said their monthly expenses are $5,000. And he told me that his job will pay $2,000 from his disability. Now, how much more I need to protect this person from individual disability? 3,000, right? I need to consider how much he already has. And same goes for all other insurances, even in life insurances. If I get to sit down with somebody and they say, hey, we need a $1.5 million worth of life insurance, and I forgot to ask them how much your employer gives you. Let's say employers give them 300,000. How much do I need to provide them? 1.2 million, because that will make it together 1.5 million. Sounds good? So always consider what is existing policies with them, then do the need analysis and always make the right plan. Because our job as an advisor is that people pay least amount of money towards these services, right? We want to give them the best solution that also can be the least expensive solution for them to protect their basic need. Now, if somebody has more disposable income, they of course can take a lot of advantage. They can do whatever they want to do. But our job as an advisor is to protect the family. Don't leave out, don't come out from a house without protecting them. Protect them with whatever budget they have. According to that, do the need analysis. Sounds good? After that, I think we're in the last page of this chapter. So this is now employment insurance, right? employment insurance is a very, very important concept to understand. We have done that in ethics as well. But with respect to disability, I'll speak a little bit. If somebody has an employment insurance means if somebody in the last year has at least minimum work 600 hours, they are eligible in case of a disability, 15 weeks of monthly benefits. But those monthly benefits are how much? Only 55%, not more than that. And that's also taxable income. So employment EI also protects some people from disability benefit for how many weeks? 15 weeks only, not more than that. And you need to remember EI is the second payer, not the first payer. First, what is the first payer? Group plans are the first payer. Let's say I am an employee. I am eligible for EI plan for disability as well. I have a group disability from my XYZ employer, and I also have my individual disability plan as well. I have all three. Which one is the first plan to pay? Always the group one will pay first. After group one, EI will pay second, and then individual will pay third. Sounds good? That is how it goes. So if somebody has three kind of plans, first of all, the plan that starts paying from day one is the group plan or the employer plan. After that, second payer is for disability will be EI, and the third will be other government plan like WSIB or other programs, or if somebody has individual disability insurance. This is important. Even CPP is after EI. EI is second, group is first. Okay. At the end, tax treatment. If you receive disability payment from employment insurance, would that be taxable or tax free?
क्या सवाल किया आपने?
If you are
Taxable.
receiving disability payments from EI, are they taxable or tax free?
Taxable.
Taxable.
Taxable. Very good. If you are receiving disability benefits from CPP, is that taxable or tax free?
Taxable.
Taxable. Very good job.
Taxable, yeah.
Very good job. So you, whatever money you receive, we have understood that all kind of plans, just leaving behind GIS is the only federal plan, GIS, guaranteed income supplement, that is tax free, and who government pays that? To low income family. And provincial level, there is a plan known as workers compensation plan. If you get disabled while performing a work duty at work, while performing a work duty at work, or maybe if you're doing a work duty but your job is to go on the road but you're still on your work, how some people drive and deliver stuff but they're still on job, in that regard, if you get disabled, you get worker compensation benefit. It's a provincial plan. Worker compensation benefit is a provincial plan, and the benefit you receive from worker compensation plan is also tax free. Remember that somewhere, write it down. From which provincial plan you receive tax-free payments? Which provincial plan you receive tax-free payments? WSIB. Which federal plan you receive tax-free payments? GIS. Okay. So that's a little bit about client profiling. And we are done with chapter number 6. Now, what I would like to do here, I would like to, because we have Kiran is not here. She's sick, and I think maybe Mahanur is not there as well. So tomorrow we're going to finish our last two chapters, 7 and 8. Today I'm going to stop this right here, but after this I'm going to do a quiz with you guys for chapter number 6. How about that? Let's do a quiz together. Okay. So what I'm going to do right. Yes, Mary?
Okay, for the quiz. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to do a quiz together, right? And we will do what do you call chapter number 7 and 8 tomorrow. We should be done with that. And guys, everyone, those who are not done with A and S, this end of this week by Friday, everybody should be done with this so that we can book all of you the provincial exams for these two. All right. So let me now open up the chapter quiz. Which chapter was this?
रिकॉर्डिंग स्टॉप कर देनी है या वो भी चलती रहेगी?
I think let's let it go because this will take some time. So let's get it done. I think computer is working right, so I'm gonna give it a try. We will do the recording included as well. Take quiz. All right, guys, I'm sharing my screen right now with you, and everybody will give your answer in the chat box direct to me. Everybody only have 1 minute to read the statement. I will also be reading side by side. So I will read the whole statement, and you can listen to me side by side. You can read, and then you can write down your answers in the chat box. Let me share the screen. Let me know, guys, if you're able to see the screen. Fantastic. My chat box is open now. All right, so question number 1. Which of the following insurance benefit can Louis anticipate receiving to help him replace income lost while he is disabled? So they want to know what insurance benefit he can receive while he is disabled to replace his income. Now let's understand the scenario. Louis is a 55-year-old, is a resident of Ontario, and has been working at his local pharmacy for more than 10 years. He makes 100,000 every year and has an employer-sponsored insurance plan with long-term disability benefits. That only long-term that would provide him 1,000 per month if he were disabled. He feels that the monthly income benefit is not very robust. Robust means not enough, but that he can depend on the disability insurance benefit provided by the CPP and worker compensation as well to make for any shortfall, because LTD only covers 1,000. While at work, he slips on the stairs and break his hip. His doctor says that he will be off work for at least 6 months, but will be in good health afterwards. Now question, which of the following insurance benefit can Louis anticipate receiving to help him replace income lost while he is disabled? Guys, everybody answer me directly in the chat box. Okay, Marine answered D, Jaya answered D, Saad answered D. So answer D is his employer-sponsored plan and worker compensation benefit. Look at the option number A, workers' compensation benefit and CPP benefits. Why not option A? Why option D? Can anybody tell me?
Because असद भाई उसका जो है ना एम्प्लॉयर की तरफ से भी तो स्पॉन्सर इंश्योरेंस है ना, तो इस वजह से.
Guys, that's what I really want you to understand here. Look at the second line, what it says. They're saying he has an employee-sponsored insurance plan with long-term disability benefits. Long-term starts after 12 months. Why are you forgetting these key points? Long-term only starts after 12 months, and doctor said to him he will be fine in 6 months. So his employer benefit will not even kick in by the time he will be back. So D cannot be the answer. Answers will be worker compensation and CPP benefit. These are the two benefits that will help him during this time. His employee sponsored plan, if the employee plan was STD, short-term disability as well, then the employment disability plan will kick in from the day one. Sounds good? Answer will be A. Whenever you not read the story well, I can tell you, I don't care how much knowledgeable you are, you're going to make a mistake, because sometimes we forget, we don't read the main points in the question. Alex meets with an agent to purchase a critical illness insurance policy. Alex and his agent are trying to estimate the amount of benefit that might be needed. Amount of benefit per decision ho raha hai. Now they're talking about how much amount of benefit Alex need to cope up in a case of critical illness. All of the following factor will impact the amount of benefit needed for a critical insurance policy. Except they're telling all the things will impact. Only one thing is not impacting the amount of benefit. What is that one thing that will not impact? Jaya answer D. Saad, what's your answer? Mary answer D. Saad, what is your answer? Okay, everybody is answering D. Alex's affordability of premium. How can you answer this? I just told you that designing a plan, client's pocket affordability matters. If my client can only spend $100, do you think I can give that client a $1,000 plan? Then this D thing will always be included, guys. Affordability always matters. This cannot be the answer. It's an important concept. His earned income will be a factor too. His estimated expenses will be a factor too. But his lifestyle factors might not be a factor, because if he become disabled, he might quit on some of his lifestyle habits and might save some money from there. Answer will be C. That is something is not important while considering the amount of benefit. Like right now, let's say I spend uh $500 on drinking wine every month, let's say, for an example. If I get disabled, I will stop drinking wine and I will save my $500. So that is not a factor, but affordability of premium will definitely be a factor. Question number 3. Stefan is meeting with his client Richard to conduct an insurance review. He notes that Richard has duplicate disability provided by his association group. Now he has duplicate disability provided by his association group plan and his individual disability policy. When comparing the two type of plans, what might they observe regarding the cost in coverage? Guys, I want some answer from here. Association group plan mean group plan. Do you think group plans and individual plans are same price? Which ones are cheaper? Group plans are cheaper always. Okay. So answer A cannot be the answer. B can be the answer. C is also exactly the same thing. So B and C cannot also be the answer. Let's see. D also cannot be the answer. Now, Marine says B. Answer is B, guys. Absolutely. You guys are spot on. Group plan is cheaper. Okay, let's go number 4. In order to assess the insurance situation of his client, Akshay identifies the client's existing source of insurance protection. He identifies what existing policies he has. He then compares the characteristic of each source of coverage with the client's risk. What is the purpose of this comparison? Why Akshay is doing all this for the client? What's the purpose? It's a pretty easy question. Why he asking all, comparing all the coverages he has? Saad answered B. Marine? Jaya? Marine said C. Jaya? Jaya said B. All right, so let's first of all look at Akshay identifies the client's existing sources of insurance protection. He is looking into his insurance coverage plans. Okay, he's looking into that. And why is he comparing all those things? C. Marine said C. To assess the client's personal state. Why? If you want to assess the client's personal state, you would ask question like, what is your age? What's your gender? Are you married? Are you not? This kind of question you will ask if you want to assess the client's personal state. Or future work plans mean what are his plans to do work. So answer C is cannot be the answer, because he's comparing the plans and he's not doing the personal assessment. Option B says to determine the financial condition of the client on the basis of asset and liabilities. Guys, this is not true. Do you think he's asking about calculating any value of the asset in the question? That how much car loan he has, liability he has? Why did you guys answer B? Look at answer number A. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to find out a clear picture of client's current circumstances and future needs. That's why he's looking at the insurances. So simple answer would be A. Number 5, while creating a client's profile for making appropriate accident and sickness insurance recommendation, while creating a client's profile for making proper A&S recommendation, an agent should first focus on the client's very easy, where I started the chapter from first. The first thing first that you need to make sure, Marine said D, beautiful. Yes, always start with the personal situation. Personal situation is age, gender, health, personal things. First ask this. Second, let's say, what's the second thing? Second thing would be financial situation. Third thing would be business situation. And fourth thing would be insurance situation. That comes at the end, okay? Number 6, which of the following factor is most critical in determining the type, benefits, cost of disability insurance coverage? What is the most critical in determining? Saad, yes. Marine, you answered ensures gender. Yes, gender is important because female gets disabled or easier than male, but risk occupation has the highest risk of somebody's getting disabled. If a woman is working as a doctor, she has less chance of getting disabled. If a woman is working in a warehouse, she has more chance of getting disabled. So insured occupation risk is most critical when you're determining the disability. Okay. 7, Larry is an agent who is finalizing his client's Jeffrey's profile. Okay. Larry is prioritizing Jeffrey's needs based on his personal circumstances and risk factors that have been identified. Once Jeffrey's risk factor have been identified and assessed, what would be the next step before making a recommendation? So Jeffrey's risk factor have been already identified and assessed. What would be the next step before making a recommendation? Anybody? Very simple. He has already identified and assessed the risk factors. Risk factor assessment means he already assessed the occupation, already assessed the gender, already assessed age, everything has been assessed. Now, what's the next thing he will do? Very good, Marine. Yes, the next thing he will check his pocket, how much he can afford, what is the financial ability. After assessing the risk, that's the next step before passing a recommendation. Great job, Marine. A is the answer. I don't know, I might be wrong at the end, but reading the chapter, I feel like I get the concept. So which of the following sources of income is considered to be in-kind income? All right. So guys, I excluded this topic. It was there in the chapter in-kind income. I thought that might not be really important, but there's a question. Let me now explain to you what is in-kind income. In-kind income is a concept of long-term care insurance. Okay, Jaya answered D. Beautiful, Jaya. This is a right answer, but let me help everybody understand what does in-kind income means. In-kind income means if let's say my grandmother, she is elderly now and she needs long-term care support, but she does not need nursing care. She's not that sick. She lives at home, but one of the family member might be providing some kind of care to the grandmother and might be getting indirectly paid from insurance company or some kind of other incentives. So that is known as in-kind income. In-kind income that a family member normally receives in virtue of providing some support or medical long-term care. So that would be no dividends, no goods and services, no royalties. It will be support payments. Okay. So this is in-kind income when you care somebody in your family who is who needs your attention or needs long-term care, and how somebody from family is getting paid indirectly. That is in-kind income. Number 9, Mark is a taxi driver and he earns a pre-tax income of $42,000. He's a taxi driver. That means he's self-employed, right? He earns pre-tax income of $42,000 pre-tax, before tax, and has an accident and sickness policy purchased 2 years ago. His monthly expense on average adds up to 1,800. How much is the monthly expense? 1,800. If he become disabled, based on the income approach, what would be Mark's monthly disability payment? Who can tell me what would be Mark's disability monthly payments? They're asking. His pre-tax income is 42,000. Anybody? I'm done with the answer. Saad, don't tell me 60%, man. Do the calculation. Is there any answer about 60% in the option A to D? Marine, double check. If anybody will be doing wrong maths using calculator, there is no forgiveness. You guys are not kid anymore. Maths using calculator cannot go wrong. Jaya, are you not done? Is that hard?
I'm not getting the formula.
Jaya, formula is 42,000 pre-tax income. Take 60% of that, divide that by 12 to give monthly payments. What kind of formula do you need for this? It's 60% of his income. Take 60% of 42,000. Whatever answer comes up, they are asking for monthly payments. Divide that answer by 12, you will get the monthly payments. Saad, what is the answer?
2,100.
2,100. It's simple, guys. There's no formula. Don't really think about this. Simple questions, simple concept. Now, my second question with respect to this same question is, can I ask my client to only protect himself for 1,800 instead of 2,100? Can I do that?
No.
Why?
क्योंकि 1800 बेसिकली एक्सपेंसेस में ही आ जाते हैं, तो
Yes.
अगर आपको ठीक है 2100 मिल रहा है तो व्हाई वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू कवर मोर.
Let's say my client wants that I want to, for me, this monthly budget is a little bit higher. Can I pay a little bit lesser? Do you think being an advisor, I can show him a plan? Yes, I can show him a plan. I can show him a plan up to 1,800, but not less than that. That might save him maybe $5-10. If that's client's wish, I'll show him, hey, if you want to save $5 a month, then instead of 2,100, you will get 1,800. But by no means I will not take you down 1,800, because 1,800 is your monthly expense anyways. Sounds good? If the client is still adamant that it's a little bit heavy on my pocket, can I reduce payment a little bit monthly? Then I can recommend him going down only until 1,800, not less than that. That's just an added question that I asked on top just to test the concept. Okay, guys, the last one. Lydia is working on a net worth statement for her client. Margarita is the name of the client. Net worth statement is being discussed right now to determine if she has sufficient resources to cover medical expenses for at least 1 year. Medical expenses for at least 1 year. Should she suffer a disability? Which of the following assets of Margarita would be considered as current asset? Current assets mean the assets that you can sell tomorrow for cash. Those are called as current assets, liquid assets. Very easily you can turn them into cash. House is not a current asset because house you will list, it might be sold in 5 months. All those things that is easily turned into cash is known as current asset. Now find the answer. Saad, you answered this. Are you sure? Now you answered this. Jaya? Saad, why did you answer C and then you answer B after that?
बिकॉज हमें पता है कि जो लाइव इंश्योरेंस होती है ना उसमें हमारा कैश बनता रहता है तो वो
Saad,
किसी भी टाइम
read the choice number C. Read it. Read it loud.
a life insurance contract in which Lydia is the named beneficiary.
Lydia is who? Lydia is the beneficiary. Lydia will only get money if somebody else will die. Is that a current asset? Lydia is not the investment account holder. She is not the policy owner that she can withdraw cash. She's the beneficiary. Now, after that, you change your option and then you answered B. Why did you answer B? Read it now.
A segregated fund contract that Lydia purchased last year.
So segregated fund contract always has a maturity date. That means it is not easily turned into liquids. There is always a 10 years maturity in that. So that cannot be the answer. Only TFSA is the right answer here. You can write away from your TFSA. Tomorrow you can withdraw money. No question asked. That is a liquid cash. Everybody else answered right, Mehreen and Jaya. But Saad, you were wrong here, but I wanted to clear your concept. All right, guys. So with this, where is the submit button? Did I miss something? Oh. Okay, so we score 70% on this. Just quickly stop recording.